Well, that was shite, wasn't it? Yes, back to what we've been used to for the last, God knows how long I'm losing count now, 18 months. Bit of promise in the last 2 or 3 games. Obviously, I know we didn't expect very much going to a place like Chelsea. We don't travel well to London in general anyway, but obviously Chelsea, much better side. They've got that bounce back feeling from getting a new manager in, but disappointing. Didn't create anything, didn't really look up for it. Quite lethargic in the way we floated around the pitch. Second half was a formality, and we aren't a team that can go 2-0 down at half-time against anyone in this division and hope to get something back. So I think the second half, I wanted to turn it off, but like we always do, I kept on watching. It was just a formality. I think it was just everybody waiting for the full-time whistle to go. Little bit of improvement in the second half, which I'll touch on in a little bit, but apart from a couple of chances from Willock, breath of fresh air to see him burst into the box, just to have a midfielder burst into the box. Apart from a couple of moments from him, not really at it, and another disappointing 9 games. What's been a massive breath of fresh air since Graham Jones has come in, admittedly, but it's been the high press against Everton, against Southampton, a little bit against Palace. I know that wasn't as good a performance, but we have been better off the ball as opposed to being better on the ball, forcing mistakes, pushing a little bit further up the pitch, chasing down the centre-back who's just had the ball played out of them from the goalkeeper, just getting a little bit further up the field, and I think it's reaped rewards, and it's been a breath of fresh air for us all to watch. Now, for whatever reason, in the first half on Monday, that didn't happen. We were back to the old ways of sitting back a little bit, letting them have the ball, soaking up their possession, just letting them sit on it. And it just invites, especially against a team like Chelsea with the players they have, it just invites pressure on. But in the second half, I don't know what got said at half-time. Me being the Bruce hater I am, I'm going to assume that Graham Jones had a go at them about the lack of press. But they came out in the second half, and I'm not going to say it was better. Well, it was better, but I'm not going to say it was great. But in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the second half, you might have noticed we pushed a little bit further up the field. Maximin had a little bit more oomph in chasing down balls. Our forward line had a bit more about them, going just literally getting up the arses of Chelsea players a bit more, which is all we fucking want to see. And I know they can't do it for 90 minutes. Not many teams can press for 90 minutes. I'd probably say Liverpool's one of the only teams in the last year or so that's managed to play that way for the full game, which is what's made their team so great. But why did that not happen from the first whistle? It happened from the first whistle against Everton. I saw it against Southampton, but for some reason against Chelsea, is it fear? I mean, I know Chelsea are a good team, and on paper, you know, the top 6, if you like, the unofficial top 6. But I'm sorry, they're not world beaters. Their defence, I think, sometimes if you put a bit of pressure on them, the likes of Christensen, you're going to force a mistake. And I think that's the same for most teams in the world. But just a little bit more urgency, like we are fighting for our lives potentially as the season's coming to an end. And we saw it more in the second half, and that's why the second half was a little bit better on the eye, and we got a little bit more of the ball, and we pushed a little bit further up the field. Why was it not happening from the first whistle? I don't know. But when it does happen, we play a little bit better. I think any player on Monday had a good game. If I was to give any special brownie points to a player, it would probably be Hayden, just because I've got a bit of a soft spot for the lad. Always grafts his bollocks off, doesn't really put a foot wrong, especially when he's in the central midfield area next to the lazy Shelvey. Slide tackles here, there and everywhere, interceptions, does the unnoticed stuff really well, and he's one of my more favoured players. But generally, no one got good scores from the defence all the way up to the attack. But just one player I want to talk about. I don't like to single an individual out, but it's just getting to the point now. Jamal Lewis. I have not seen the lad have one good game for us where when the match finished and I thought, he looks decent. There's a player there. I just think, yes, in the summer, Liverpool were after him, so we know there's a good player in there somewhere. There has to be. You've got to trust the likes of Klopp to be interested in him. He's a young kid. He obviously did well at Norwich last year as well. But there's a lot of areas that worry me, and I think with a young player, it's okay sometimes when you see him and you think, well, he's got that to learn, but there's definitely a good player in there. With Lewis, I'm seeing a weakness defensively, not enough aggression, which I think is massively important, especially in the Premier League. He's so one-footed. When he's got the ball on the left-hand side and he cuts inside, when he's pushing forward with it, he's so reluctant to use that right foot, which I know a lot of players are like that, but it's worrying. And I think of all the crosses I've seen him put into the box this season, which has been a lot, I think I've probably seen him put in 3 or 4 decent ones. He really needs to work on that. It worries me that he's working on his crossing all week in training when he's setting up these practice matches and it's not getting any better. I think obviously he fell asleep for one of the goals on Monday. Poor, really, really poor. Basics. If I made some of them mistakes, just falling asleep in a set piece in pub football on a Sunday, my teammates would be giving us a slap round the head, telling me to wake up. That's no different. This is a professional footballer we're talking about, but he concerns me. I'm hoping we see more and more, and it might just be a confidence issue because, let's be honest, playing in this Newcastle team this season is going to give anyone anxiety, whether you're a defender or an attacker. So I hope that's what the issue is. But again, another poor performance, and I'm still not seeing much of a player in there. Has anyone else noticed that when St. Maximin's on the field, but he's not really up for it, the rest of our team isn't, and we don't really create anything? It seems to be a common theme. I think Maximin, for the first 20 minutes of that match, I didn't even realise he was on the field. He lost the ball a lot of times with skill attempts that he had. But I sometimes feel that because he's the focal point of our attack, which is fine. If I was Hayden or Shelvey, the first thing I would want to do is look for him because you know he's going to give nightmares to defenders. He's going to look for that killer pass. He's going to look to potentially get a shot off. But when he's not quite feeling it, maybe because the team's doubled up on him, because a couple of things he's tried just aren't coming off, we haven't had much of the ball, our attack seems to be non-existent, particularly with Wilson out injured. I mean, we are relying heavily on Maximin. I would say we're relying on Almiron, but, you know, he runs around a lot and he has, you know, he does look good in areas, but still when Almiron's trying to beat that last man, he looks clueless. He looks like he's not capable of doing it, whereas Maximin, he gets us up off our seat. But when he's not up for it, the rest of our team isn't. And I saw it again on Monday. Didn't really do very much. Obviously, he got subbed off. I don't know whether that's because of match fitness or not, because he's just been coming back. But I wasn't surprised to see him get subbed off. When he did get the ball, he was a bit wasteful. I think at one point he tried a pirouette just inside our own half, and they robbed the ball back and put a cross in. I was screaming at the television. But when he is not on form, we aren't. And I think if we're going to stay up this season, he needs to really pull his finger out and grab matches by the scruff of the neck as much as he can. And I know it's not easy when you're playing in a team as poor as we are going forward, but I know we've got Willock now, but Maximin is still going to be that vocal point. And again, when he wasn't at the races, we weren't. We are in a relegation battle. And I think Craig Hope for the Daily Mail posted on Tuesday that the players looked like they didn't quite think they were, or they didn't realise they were in a relegation battle and needed telling. Fulham have got 7 points behind us, but I look at their fixtures. I mean, as I'm recording this, it's Wednesday morning. They're playing tonight away to Burnley. Based off how Fulham have been playing, I know Burnley have picked up. Fulham can easily pick up a result tonight. And then they have Sheffield United on Sunday, a very winnable game for them. What they're going to see is a 6-point. We have Man United. I'm not expecting anything of Man United, as much as I'd fucking love to get 3 points there, because I hate the bastards. We aren't going to pick anything up. And I'm concerned because with Wilson out, he's got what? I don't even know what the stats are. 40-50% of our goals this season. I think we need to seriously be worried and looking over our shoulders. And Fulham, what I've watched of them the last 2 or 3 weeks, I watched them against Everton on Sunday. They're hard to beat, hard to break down. They haven't really scored that many goals, but I know they just got that ex-Mackham, Maja. He bagged 2 on his debut, but I think they're a team getting more and more confidence, and they're thinking we can catch them. Get a result tonight at Burnley. Get a result against Sheffield United on Sunday. That's 6 points. Even if Fulham were to pick up 4 points from the next 2 games, which is maybe more realistic, and we get beat at Man United on Sunday, that's a 3-point difference between us and them. And then it's shitty-ass time for us. And I'm worried. The players need to realise, and I want to see more urgency from the players. I want to see a team that looks like they are in a relegation battle. Not like a team that's already survived. Like I'll hold my hand up and admit when we picked a win up against Everton and when we beat Southampton last weekend, I was like, We can chill. We can chill. Nice little gap there now. That might just keep us up. But how things can change in a week or so. And they need to give themselves a good talking to in that dressing room, because I know Bruce won't do it. Graham Jones maybe needs to get to the backs and tell them to pull their fingers out, because we need at least 2 more wins. 3 more wins, I'd say, to get to the magic 40-point mark, around the magic 40-point mark. But we need them quickly. And the fixtures aren't in our favour. So fingers crossed. I'm going to keep my fingers and my toes crossed that Burnley can do us a favour tonight. But it shouldn't be at the point where we are relying on other teams. And it might get to that stage. So I'd like to hope we get a miracle against Man U on Sunday. But I'm certainly not going to hold my breath. With Rashford, Martial, Fernandes and co. Our injuries in defence, Wilson out. It doesn't add up to anything but a defeat for me, unfortunately. Don't mean to sound like Mr. Negative, but I think a lot of Newcastle fans would agree with us on that one. I'll check in before or after the Man U game, but if you like this video, please like, follow and subscribe. I've just set up an Instagram page, which I haven't done much with yet, but if you want to search Black and White Banter on Instagram, you'll find me on there. And thanks for watching.